you will get an unfiltered account of their reaction as well. That is a phrase that is not proper, but hey everyone, it's Aradna. So this is going to be a very short video. Initially, I was planning to do a little bit of a desk tour, and then I remembered that my desk is kind of a mess. It's an organized, chaotic mess, and yeah, so that is tabled right now until I move the workspace from the guest room into an actual proper workspace, which will be some time away. We have guests coming in later this year, so short video about instead what I think is what I've been doing to keep up with my short stories monthly on Ko-fi. It's something that I realize I've been doing for a while, but this is taking things that I have previously written and maybe shared. Some of them I've shared, some of them were written for friends, which I, sent them for their birthdays and things like that, and turning them into original pieces of fiction that I can then share on Ko-fi. Or in the case of What Happened in Vegas, put it into a novella form and sell it, on multiple platforms. But yeah, so I was a friend was saying that he felt a little bit bad for using, or felt a little bit like he'd lost his streak in using a previously written story for a flash fiction post that he posts on his Ko-fi, and I was like, hey, it's still something you wrote. It doesn't matter when you wrote it or why you wrote it, but you did write it, and you should share it. And I realized that it's some people think it's fine. I look at the novels now. You have people who file the serial numbers off of fic and sell them as novels, which some are hits, some are misses. You can say the same about mine that I have done. I have filed the serial numbers off of some of the fics I've written for old Hindi serials and turned them into original short stories. I don't know if it works or not. I think it works, but then I am close to the thing. But the thing is, I feel that if you have old stories, old ideas that you still like and you still think you can adapt and turn them into something, it is not a bad thing. Retooling old things you have written into something new or something that fits how you write now, it's not a bad thing. It is a form of editing. It is a form of storytelling. At the end of the day, it is still your work that you are putting out there. You shouldn't feel guilty about it. I don't feel guilty about it. It means that I have consistently shared a short story every month on Ko-fi for members. Some of these stories, originally were written like years ago, and then I'm taking the essence of that and rewriting them and sharing them again on this platform. And some of them I'm like, okay, it's not the best thing I've ever written, but it is a story. It does tell a story. It does have characters that are not caricatures, so I'm quite happy about that. And it keeps me working on newer things as well, because then I'm not stressing out about trying to finish these newer projects that I'm working on so I can share them, because I'm like, I have this backlog of stories that I have written, and yes, I've written them years ago, so my writing style has evolved and changed. What I can do is use that as my first draft. Edit those. Bring it up to a draft that is reminiscent of my style now. If that means the characters change a little bit, you know what? That is what stories do. They evolve with time. But then I can also work on my newer things and get that up to a place that I'm happy with a story I'm happy with. So retool your old stories. I am currently looking at an old story, an old crack story that I wrote, like completely ridiculous, sort of something written to make my friends laugh, that I'm like, hey, you know what? I could put this out there as a comedy short story. Maybe I'll make a wider audience of people laugh. I am not shying away from retooling my old stories, and I think that you shouldn't either. If you are a writer and you are struggling with your newer work, or you just have old stuff that you look at and you're like, I don't know what to do with these anymore, retool them, rework them, share them with the audience you have, or share them with the audience you want to find. You'll be surprised by the fact that you will fall in love with your old stories again as well while you're reworking them. You will fall in love with the turns of phrases that you used that made you laugh when you wrote them initially, and you're like, hey, this is still something that I'm proud of. Or occasionally you'll look at that and go like, okay, this was a little juvenile. I have evolved from this. How can I make this better? And then you compare the thing you wrote a really long time ago and the way you retooled it, and you can see how you've grown as a writer as well. And I think that is a very tangible way of seeing your evolution as a writer, seeing the ways you've changed. And if you have an audience, a member of your audience who has been with you throughout and who might recognize the fragments of that old story and the thing that you haven't currently shared, you will, it's just, they will recognize it. Maybe they will point it out and they'll be like, hey, this is something I recognize. This is something I know. I am the only one to know, and it feels sort of like a secret between you and that audience member. Or not. But yeah, I'm just, don't shy away from retooling your old stories. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and I'm falling back in love with some of these ideas, and I'm seeing some of this and I'm like, this was cheesy, but you know what? It made the person I wrote it for smile, and I'm not ashamed of that. But okay, maybe this thing I'm not gonna retool, but then there's some that I'm sitting there and reading and going, I remember the people reading this yelling at me for the emotions it caused. You feel proud of where you were, and you feel proud of where you've reached. I've been seeing my evolution on writing styles while I've been retooling these, and yeah, I've come a long way, and I'm gonna continue to evolve and change. So I'm gonna keep looking at these old stories, and maybe someday I'll be looking at the things I've written in the last couple of years and going, hey, maybe I can rewrite this somewhere down the line. I'm not gonna stop doing that. I think it's just a writer's, it's just the way that we should keep learning, keep working on our stories. And I know it's kind of like growth. This is a very disjointed video, but I just wanted to say, don't shy away from retooling and reworking old works or old ideas and sharing them with your audience. You'll be surprised at finding people who enjoy them, who will see the ideas you had when you were younger and go, hey, this is something that is still applicable today, or hey, this is a really good idea, and your writing is really amazing, or in some cases, hey, I see how you've changed, I see how you've grown, I see you, and I am proud of you. And that is a good feeling, and I highly encourage it. And if you need to hear this completely unconnected, if you are writing and sharing your work, if you're creating and sharing your work, or even if you're not sharing your work, but if you're doing that, if you need to hear it today, I am proud of you. Yes, so like, subscribe, all of that. Links in the description for anywhere you want to find me. I'm also linking what happened in Vegas just because I mentioned it today. And yeah, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.